The idea on that trust bank is so important too, because we've all seen the studies that one poor customer experience, that can be the end of the relationship. So unfortunately, it's not equal. Like when you put good experiences into the bank, it's not equal to the bad experiences, right? Those far outweigh the good. I remember my wife, when we first had our kids and we were raising them, she said, for every 10 things we tell them that they did wrong, or one thing we tell them we did wrong, we got to tell them 10 things that they did right. They're going to remember the one thing they did wrong the most. So, like, how are we, and you guys talked about we have to have a plan. Even Forrester talked about that we don't have a trust building plan. We have plans for so many different things. And Forrester put out that trust was the number one strategy that business needs to work on today. That's how important that this is. So I just wanted to ask a little bit more about, now we're getting into this balance, the third challenge that came out of the report, the short term versus the long term. And building trust isn't just a brand thing. Like you mentioned, Jamie, it's a every single day, it's a every activity down to the receptionist. Our C suites and our boards tend to look at short term KPIs. Nobody really ever goes into a board meeting and everybody sits up and goes, how's the brand doing these days? Don, tell me a little bit about the brand. That doesn't happen. So we tend to naturally get focused on short term. We have quotas that show focus on short term, our boards, our C suite. We're driven by the short term. But knowing that the brand and the trust that we've just talked about is one of the number one things we need to be doing. How do we balance that? So I'm going to let you take the first crack at this one if you're all right.
Well, so I think it is harder. It's not as easy to just measure an ROI on brand, but you can do it over time and to think about for me, lifetime customer value and the stickiness of customers. So, as well as how easy is it to get in. I work for some major brands and I work for smaller brands. And I will tell you, it's a lot easier to knock on the door as a major brand and get that call because they know who you are, and especially if they trust you. Now, if they don't trust you, have a bad reputation, that's a whole nother story. But one of the easiest benefits to measure is if you're building trust, your customers are going to stay for a while. They're going to be stickier. They're going to be repeat buyers. And it is so much less expensive to keep selling to the same customer and a trusted customer. Plus, it's a lot easier. It's a much more friendly, wonderful relationship than it is for you to have to go build a whole new set of customers every time. So if you look at your churn rates, if you look at your retention rates, if you look at your lifetime value, that's your ROI on brand to me.
Completely agree with what Don just said. I think if you can start educating the board, let's just be clear, many of them have a board seat by way of being an investor, PE firm, VC firm, whomever. They're wanting a return on their investment. And yes, of course, they're going to be thinking of the short term because they want to see what's happening if the momentum is building for when that 3-year mark hits or that 5-year mark. So I understand that. But that 3-year and that 5-year mark is predicated on building momentum that takes time. So I've spent a lot of time in enterprise sales. When you have a 12 months, 18 months, sometimes 2-year sales cycle, you're building a relationship during the course of that time. And you've got these moments of trust that you've got to create along the way so they stay along with you. Because oftentimes, even in the earliest stages of a deal, the majority of buyers, they turn away not necessarily because there's not product market fit, but it's because of the experience that they're having with your team. They're like, if this is going to be a 5-year contract with this company, this is a marriage. Is this who I want to be married to? Even if there's a good benefit to the product, I can go find another product. So I think how you explain it to a board so they don't equate brand to the latest advertising campaign or a tchotchke or the t-shirt that I'm wearing that says company name or whatever else. They have to understand that it's an aspect of the business strategy. It is the DNA and everything is connected to trust. They have to start seeing that and how people purchase based on it. My forward path has always been you've got to balance both. So I am going to invest in some of the longer term programming that naturally builds that while in the quarter I have specific campaigns and programs that I'm executing to that is helping to generate pipeline or advanced deals that are already in the pipeline. So at least there's a little bit of a balance to take the pressure off of why are you focusing on these other things. So it's a balance. But I think the other point to be made real quickly is, and I know this data has been shared many times for the last couple of years is you only have so many buyers that are in market at a given time. Others, which is we can debate how many, but let's just say it's 90% are not in market. At some point, they may be. And so you want to have the recall that when they are in market, when they've already gone through a search process to identify who are potential problem solvers for them, that you come to mind. And so they need to have that brand recall. And we have to remember people are on information overload. We're not lacking for data, we're not lacking for information. So your ability to be recalled at a moment in time is absolutely critical. That recall stems from your brand building efforts.